All right, hey, what's up guys? Q&A, and we're back here and we're using our Turn Pro and we're answering a question. And this is from Adriel M. This is from Facebook. And I watched your video on how to tune a subwoofer enclosure, but there wasn't any input on how much port area to use. How do you determine the amount of port area per foot to use when designing an enclosure? So anyway, we're gonna make it quick. First off, we're going to show you how we do it. And we feel this is the best way to never let us down. So anyway, we're gonna choose a JL10W3 just for our reference woofer. It could be any woofer, it doesn't matter, but this is what I'm choosing. So what's really cool about Turn Pro is everything along the way it guides you. First we select the driver, the enclosure, vent, wood design, fabrication. We're gonna go through it real fast. So now we determine 1.5 cubic feet is what we want. We want 34 Hertz is what we want our enclosure to be tuned to. Now we're gonna go to vent design. So this is where we're gonna try to answer a little bit of your question. Now, the reason why I don't recommend going off any of the like port area as an example is there's a lot of times where you may not necessarily have enough space to do a set port. So we like to call it manipulating the port, and I'm gonna show you why. And if you notice, there isn't any preset values that Turn Pro gives you as a recommended port. Right off the bat, you've got to design it yourself. And what we're gonna basically be looking at here is the air vent velocity. This is in relation to the speed of Mach, percentage of Mach, which from what I understand is the speed of sound. So anyway, we wanna obviously be within 0 to 10, preferably under 10. So in the green or the yellow here, anything over that, we're gonna have port noise. I like slot ports. They do support flanged ports, pipes, and rectangles. So, I know my box for the car I'm gonna be building in this particular equation is gonna be 12 inches high. So I know if I factor the wood at the top, wood at the bottom, I can subtract 1.5 inches, which gives me 10.5 inches, is the internal port dimensions. So, as you can see here, it automatically kind of does the math for you. So 10.5 inches, it says default 7 inches wide. It gives me a length of 106 inches, that's 73 square inches. So here's an example for you. I know I have 10 inches high, I know 10.5 inches high, I know I have 7 inches of width. I know I don't have 106 inches of port length. 106 inches of port length is a lot. And if you're not thinking about that logically, let's go to the next step real quick here, wood design. This is where it factors all of our stuff for us. It takes the 1.5 cubic feet that we wanted for the enclosure, gives us the driver displacement, and it adds the vent displacement, any bracing that we wanted to add to the box, and it gives us a total box volume. So that port at 10.5 by 7 by 106 would be 6.851 cubic feet, which obviously is ridiculous. We're not gonna take a woofer that wants a 1.5 cubic feet and turn it into an 8.4 cubic foot box. That would just be absolutely ridiculous. So we're gonna take one step back and we're gonna go back to vent design. So I know my height is gonna stay the same, but I can't fit a 106 inch length port. So 73 square inches is not gonna work for me. However, let's try going down. So now I've got 4 inches wide, 59 inches of port length. That gives us 42 square inches of port area. That's still a little bit too long for what I can fit in my box. So I'm gonna work my way down, because as we can see, we're still in a very much an acceptable air vent velocity range where we're not gonna have any port noise. We want it to be a nice, smooth sounding, clean box. So I'm gonna cut that in half one more time. We're gonna go to 2. There we go. So we're at 10.5 by 2 by 28.592. And you can see we're at 5.88% of Mach. So our air vent velocity is still perfect. It's in a great operating range where we're not gonna have any noise. So 28.59 is an acceptable length for me for the size of the box that and the dimensions that I'm probably gonna wind up with for my box. Here's the port. Now, of course, it doesn't matter if it's just a straight port that's 28 inches long, 28.5, or if it's an L shape, or it's whatever shape it has to be to get that length. I just know that 28.5 is probably gonna work for me for the width of the box that I have for this trunk. So if you remember last time, we were at about a little over 8 cubic feet before. Now we're gonna go to our next tab because this is what it's acceptable to us. Now we're gonna go to wood design. Now you can see we went, same exact numbers here, 1.5, we still have our same displacement. This is our vent displacement now. Now our vent displacement is a little over 3/4 of a cubic foot. So our total box volume is 2.347 instead of 8 cubic feet. So obviously you can see that that's going to work for us. Now we're pretty much going to just show you how this wraps up. And now here's our external dimensions. Now the program still doesn't know exactly what shape we intend on this box to be. So what we're going to do here is, I know we're going to be at 12 inches because I've already figured the height on my port for my slot. So I've got 12 inches here. We're going to lock it in. I know that, I'm cool with the box coming out 15 inches in the trunk. That's enough for me. It's not going to take up too much space. And we'll lock that in. And now it's telling me my width of my box needs to be 34.202 in width. So I know, just real quick, that my port needed to be 28 inches long. So I know if I make an L-shaped port here, I know I'm going to be able to get, X amount of length here, and I'll be able to get the rest of my length here. I may even have enough room just to do one long slot. It really just depends, obviously, once you get it all built and map it all out. Anyway, so now that we know that's what we're going to do, we basically go down over here to this next tab, we go to fabrication, and voila, we have our cut sheet. So to sum it up, I'm sorry I can't answer your question specifically exactly that way, but I hope that you seeing how we do it and how we factor ports here will help you look at it in a completely different way. Everything's all intertwined together between the port area and the length and the tuning frequency, that in my opinion, and after using this program for a few years now, I can't say that one port area works for everything. So, but keep the questions coming. It's definitely a good question. I'm glad I had this to where I could actually show it to you, and hopefully that makes sense from kind of like a graph perspective. But anyway, feel free to subscribe. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that. Keep the questions coming. Thank you for your question again, and we'll see you next time.